Okay, folks, A Good Person, Mike's Instant Movie Review, Florence Pugh, Morgan Freeman. Nice return to drama for Molly Shannon, one of my favorite Saturday Night Live performers. I always liked Molly Shannon. I think her stuff ages well as well. And who else? Other people that I did not recognize. Here we go. Now, Florence Pugh, she's done a lot of stuff. I think she was in that big scandalous movie last summer with the fucking singer guy who was appropriating gay culture, and the fucking director, Olivia, whoever the fuck, and everyone's divorcing, and the guy's wearing a dress to the fucking premiere and all that wonderful shit. She was in that movie that I saw that was okay. It wasn't as great as the hype was. I believe Florence Pugh was in that one. And she was also in Wrestling with My Family, playing the ever controversial Saraya, the wrestler chick, Paige, for those that know. And this one, Florence Pugh plays a woman who's playing the piano, and she's engaged. First of all, should you see this movie or not? If you like good drama, I think this is a movie worth seeing. It's not a horror, okay? It is kind of one of these, if you recall things like Terms of Endearment or this or that or Ordinary People, one of these dramatic movies about real life people going through real life circumstances, okay? Life and death, love and loss, aging and all that shit. Forgiveness, trauma. So should you see this movie? I think it's a good movie. I was enjoying it. Good old Morgan Freeman's in this thing. Good old Morgan Freeman, basically playing Morgan Freeman, the all-knowing. Interesting. I will say this, as a society, you know, one topic that I guess could have been easily brought up, but they didn't. Maybe it wasn't in the script, or maybe there was no need to at this point. But, you know, back in my day, if you had an interracial relationship in a film, like, that was the whole fucking film. Like, that was the movie. You know, Jungle Fever, Spike Lee, etc. In this film, it's not even mentioned, really, which, you know, I think the younger generation probably doesn't mean anything to them at this point. But for us old fogies, we remember all that shit. But yeah, the interracial couple, the Florence Pugh, she does have a nice round ass that we see. It's referenced in the movie. I'm not making it up. But she has a boyfriend, fiance. He is estranged from his father, yet he is on good terms with his sister and his brother-in-law. Spoilers, and here, this is where our troubles begin. The Florence Pugh character is basically giving her sister-in-law to be, and her, I guess you would say, brother-in-law to be, her sister-in-law's husband to be, a ride to the airport. And I think it's a ride to the airport or something like that, or a train station or something. And basically, and she's been warned by her fiance not to always play with her phone so goddamn much. But she's giving them a ride. She's fiddle fucking with her phone, with her Maps app. And she's not paying full attention. And then a construction worker has one of those fucking, you know, machines. And it's got like the whole thing. And the construction machine on the side of the road basically like swerves the big fucking smashing ball into the middle of the road on the left side. And it hits their car. And our girl there, Florence, I'm trying to remember her name in the movie, she wakes up in the hospital. Her mother is standing above her. The mother is played by Molly Shannon, who I initially thought was just a friend, perhaps, or another character. And it just goes to show, yeah, I mean, if Florence Pugh, I mean, her character in this is 26. I don't know if she's actually that young. Maybe she is. But I guess, you know, Molly Shannon's probably about 50, somewhere in that range. And so that's how time flies, folks. Because when I initially saw, you know, the fucking Molly Shannon character, I was just thinking it's 1997 again. And I was just thinking that she was playing the friend, but she's not. She's playing her mom. So, by the way, if you want to see a really kind of sexy Molly Shannon moment, look up the Molly Shannon playing Monica Lewinsky with John Goodman playing Linda Tripp on an old SNL video. Moving forth in this film review, she wakes up, she's a little banged up from this car accident, and she sees her fiance, you know, kind of giving her the 1,000-mile stare, so to speak. And she's like, what's wrong? Why are you looking at me like that? And then the fucking doors burst open, and it's a couple of police officers, and they're demanding to take a blood test. And why do they want this blood test? Well, we have to have a blood test in these fatal accidents. And poor Florence Hugh's character doesn't know what the fuck they're talking about. And then it's explained there was fatalities in this accident. Your sister-in-law and brother-in-law to be are now dead. So, very dramatic. And then we have the old fade to black, white words on black screen, 1 year later. And basically everything's gone in different directions. Now, these folks, the people that died, the sister-in-law and the brother-in-law to be, had a granddaughter, or they had a daughter who's actually now Morgan Freeman's character's name is Daniel. Daniel's granddaughter now is, I don't know if you can say she's an orphan, but her parents are deceased. So I don't know if that orphan thing really fits, but because they didn't abandon her, they just died. So now she's a 16-year-old girl, and she was a good girl. Now she's bad, you know, basically is what we discover. And Morgan Freeman is grandpa, struggling to raise this little granddaughter, but, you know, he can't control the feminine urges of a teenage girl. And, you know, his son, who's lost, you know, basically his sister and his brother-in-law, and he's also apparently been dumped from the relationship with the Florence Hugh. She's dumped him, apparently. He's got nothing, so he's offering no help to raise his niece. So everyone's angry at everyone, and this is one of those repercussion type of movies. These are the repercussions of our actions, the repercussions of our mistakes. And so everyone's living with guilt, and in the meantime, the Florence Hugh character is living with her mother, and she's developed basically an opioid addiction, which is very timely. I mean, the last 15 years in the United States, we've had a whole opioid epidemic. So she's suffering through addiction. Her mother's trying to help her stop, but her mother has her own problems too. Mom's been a fucking wine junkie and everything else. You ever meet people that just drink wine all the fucking time? It's a little obnoxious. So, moving forth, Florence Hugh finds herself, you know, looking for answers, but the bottom of the fucking pill bottle is her best friend. She finds herself going to a local watering hole, local seedy bar, where there's pretty intense scene with these two local scumbags. This movie takes place in New Jersey, apparently. And these two guys went to high school with her, and they tell her how she was a fucking snob, and she was all these horrible things, and but now she's down in the gutter with them, looking for a fix, looking for a junkie's fix. So a lot of intense stuff going on here, and we have all these twists and turns. And then the big twist, kind of like the twist on top of all the twists, is that our Florence Hugh character decides to go into a AA meeting, Alcoholics Anonymous. And when she goes into the meeting, guess who's there? Bum, 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 bum. It's Morgan Freeman as Daniel, the father of the woman who she, you know, was in the car accident that got killed, basically. So forth. So then that's like, you know, Morgan Freeman is being Morgan Freeman. And then we're off to the races. And then the Florence Hugh character, you know, basically she becomes like after an initial rough beginning, she becomes kind of an older sister or a friend to the young lady whose parents are now deceased. And it's this, that, and the other, and this, that, and the other, and we all have to move on, and we all have to find our way. So everyone's doing pretty good. I mean, you know, it is kind of an interesting mix because it is really a Florence Hugh dominated film as far as the acting, but it's also an ensemble piece. I mean, all the characters, the Daniel character most especially is Morgan Freeman. He's got a lot of screen time. You know, the son character of Morgan Freeman's got a lot of screen time, who's also the ex-fiance of the Florence Hugh, blah, blah, blah. Everyone's got a lot of screen time. The granddaughter has a good role, and we learned some things about the youth culture these days. So very interesting stuff. And it's just one of those fucking movies. It's about humanity. So I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm not going to say don't go see it. I'm going to say probably go see it. I'm going to say it's a good dramatic film. You know, it's, I wouldn't say it's not like a Schindler's List where you're going to come out crying or anything. Some people probably will, you know, but I didn't. But I did enjoy the film. I did think there was good acting all around. I thought, you know, Florence Hugh kind of swinging that bat. Look at me, give me a SAG-AFTRA award, give me an Oscar, whatever. Interestingly enough, the end credits come, and it's written and directed by Zach Braff. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he was on that Ogg's show. I hate that term, Ogg. Scrubs, which I never really watched, but I do know what it was. And I believe around, was it 2008, 2009, he made his directorial debut with Garden State, which also takes place in New Jersey. It had Natalie Portman and so forth. This movie, it also takes place in New Jersey. So I guess Zach Braff is Mr. New Jersey all of a sudden. So I liked the fucking movie. I enjoyed it. I would say, is it worth seeing? Yes. What else can I say? I mean, you know, you got a good story well told. You do have like some of the techniques of films, you know, like the, okay, another spoiler, I guess. The character dies and he leaves behind a note, and then the person reads the note, and then the voice of that dead character comes alive to read the note. You saw that most recently, at least I did, in the fucking Thomas Hanks movie, the Tom Hanks movie. Is there a Tom Hanks movie, A Man Called Otto? They did the old, you know, dead letter voiceover routine. This one, they do the dead letter voiceover routine. But yeah, I like the movie. What can I say? So, you know, there you fucking have it. I thought the movie was good. I enjoyed it. And I would say go see it. So that's it. So Zach Braff, Mr. New Jersey. You can always look up your buddy Mike Messier. I'm always available for acting services. And so forth. So good job, everyone. You made a wonderful movie that everyone loves. This is your Mike Messier, Mike's Instant Movie Review. To watch my movies, go to One Man in a Camera Films, or you can look up the archives on One Pro Wrestling Fan. This channel is One Mike Messier YouTube channel, which will be the new home going forth of all of Mike's Instant Movie Reviews. If you haven't subscribed, now you have to subscribe. So there you go, folks. I enjoyed it. The movie.